This is Modern Mindset, the show where we discuss the psychology and emotions of finance and business. I'm your host, Adam Cox, and joining me today is Dilara Tetik, who is a life and relationship coach. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So, Dilara, I understand that before you became a life and relationship coach, you were a heavy hitter in corporate finance. Tell us a bit about your background and how you made that transition to where you are now.
I was indeed. I worked 10 years in the corporate and the sectors such as private equity, law, property and investment. And I worked as an accountant, management accountant. So I was in the board meetings many, many times. And it's basically, I done the corporate because my background was, my qualification, everything was in line with corporate, and I thought that's the only way that I could go. So, and once when I started, I got better and better with my job, and I got promoted, and I started to enjoy what I do in the same time because there's many things that I learned. But I just knew always in my heart that I wanted to do something else. I didn't want to stay behind a desk. And the main transformation, the point I would say that when I attended UPW, which is Unleash the Power Within, Anthony Robbins, he does it every year. He does it in London as well. It was a 4-day event. And I attended to that, and I had no idea. I'd never been any kind of personal development event, anything like that. I walked in without knowing anything, and I left there and I was a completely different person. And that gave me that courage and mindset that, yes, I'm ready for this transformation, really.
So tell us what a life and relationship coach does, because, you know, either we're single or in a relationship, either way there's some challenges to deal with. But what is it that you do to help people?
The reason I say life and relationship coach, because there's a lot of the people, you know, they think that a relationship coach is only for romantic relationships. But for me, the most important relationship we have is with ourselves. That's the key. And I'm more just helping people to understand the relationship they have with themselves, some of their behavior, some of their limiting beliefs, where they're coming from and why they choose to hold on to it, and how it's stopping them, and how they can actually have happy and healthy romantic relationships whenever they feel like they're ready for it, because some people don't want to be in a romantic relationship. Or for the couples that when I work with, what is the problems, what are the blockages, and we just work together and we just release them, and we just create a better connection and communication between themselves. In regards to the life coaching, I help a lot of business side of it, the limiting beliefs, what's there holding them back, anxiety, depression, it could be time management and many things. That's what I put the umbrella of life and relationship coach.
And let's look at this in kind of two different types of people. So you've got people in a relationship and people not in a relationship. It must be easier if you're not in a relationship. Surely there's less going on, there's less moving parts. What are the key challenges that people face if they're not in a relationship, if they're single?
If they're single, it depends, because some people get really upset because, especially after a certain age, or it depends their culture as well. Because if they're in their culture that you're supposed to be married by the time you're 25, you're supposed to have children by the time you're 28, and they turn 35 and they don't have none of this, they feel like there's something wrong with them. They feel like they failed, because with some cultures that they get this pressure a lot. For some people that they want to be single and they want to be that way, it depends, because sometimes when you work really, really deep, it's not that they want to be in a relationship, but with their background, or maybe the relationship their parents had, or maybe the first love they had, it was a disaster. So their belief is that being in a relationship, it's not a good thing. It's better that if I'm single. But that's not the healthy way.
So sometimes there's kind of rules, either conscious or unconscious, or kind of fears or beliefs that about what you should or shouldn't be at that stage in your life, and that can cause emotional problems, anxiety, stress, pressure. What tends to be the result of that?
So many things. People that actually physically, their physical bodies is actually start to show some signs. And because everything is energy, and if you actually feel like you're not in the place that you want to be, you feel this pressure, and let's say that you're so successful, you're thriving in your career, and you have a really good great diet, and you work out and everything else, but that emotional connection that you always wanted to, and the only way that for you, for each person, if it's romantic, and when you don't have that, you feel like it's a big piece of you is missing. And people experience so many things. I see people like literally just having pains and aches all over their body, back pains, everything. I mean, it's unbelievable. Headaches, a lot of headaches, anxiety and depression, they're just the easiest one on the surface, but they go so much deeper than that. Some people, just their body hold on to fat stores is protection, and then no matter what they do, they can't lose weight. For some people, it's skin problems. You can see that, very early signs of aging, spots, blemishes, a lot of the things. It's very important to kind of like for people to understand what they want, and if they don't have it, what is the blockages on their way to get what they want.
But surely with new technology, apps, sites, all this kind of stuff, it should be relatively straightforward now to, if you are single, to not be single anymore, be in a relationship.
Well, these apps, social apps, could be very, very dangerous because when you have an app, let's say that you're on Tinder and you want to find a relationship, and all you do is just left, right, left, right, left, right. And what happens is, because it's so easy, I call it microwave dating actually, or McDonald's of dating. If it's so easy, so cheap, it won't mean much to you. And also that if you're choosing certain people, if you don't get a lot of match, it's going to affect your self-confidence as well. So yes, it is easier because it's on your phone and you can have happen, and you can go to the nice places, you can start to have conversations. But the challenge is that it could be too easy. It might not be meaningful.
And I mean, you've talked a lot of negative sides of there, but I mean, surely there must be people that just enjoy being single. They don't ever want to be in a relationship.
Of course. And that's totally fine. But all I'm saying is actually there's no negative or positive side of it. It's all about the awareness. So if you truly want to be single and you just say that this is a life I choose, that's completely fine. Not everybody has to be in a romantic relationship. I choose not to be in a relationship for a few years. And that was a choice. I didn't even date. I just didn't want any of it. I have many clients coming that way. But I think the key is knowing that, do you actually really not want to, or you have some fears which it's hidden that you don't even have any idea it's there.
So it could be a story to protect the fact that they're not in a relationship. And let's talk about those people that actually are in relationships. It's not often that we have a relationship coach in the studio, but after working with lots of people, you probably know the biggest issues those people in a relationship are more likely to encounter. What tends to be the major issues that you're presented with?
Communication. A lot of it is the communication, because I think it's very important for couples to understand each other and speak each other's languages. And many times that I actually do in my workshops as well, and I always put it on social media, something called love languages. And again, not that many people talking about it, but we all have a language we speak, but also we have the love languages as well. So sometimes people don't know how to love each other or have to feel like they loved their partners. What I'm saying by that, let's say that I'm in a relationship and my partner is actually showing his love to me by gifts, by showering me with gifts, and that's how he shows. But if my love language is not gifts, I'm not going to feel loved, because all I will want for him to hug me and tell me that he loves me, if it makes sense. So there's a lot of couples, and I'm sure you hear that as well. You don't have to be in couples therapy, and people say that, I don't know how to make him happy. I don't know how to make her happy. I'm doing everything that I can, but it feels like it's never enough. But it's not that. They haven't identified what makes their partner feel loved.
So sometimes things get lost in translation.
Absolutely.
Because people don't have an appreciation of, let's say, the language or the needs of their partner.
Absolutely. It's all about that. What makes you feel love? That I would say any couples, like, doesn't matter how long they've been together or it's brand new, to have a really honest and open conversation and just say, when do you feel loved the most? What makes you feel loved? And just do that. Do more of that, because there's no point that you're trying to show to someone that you love them with the way that you want to be loved. It's like everything else. It's a communication, and it's very personal.
And for those of us in the world of business, entrepreneurs, business owners, are there a different set of challenges that can impact relationships compared to those that maybe just in regular jobs, for example?
A lot, very much. Because ultimately that when you run your own business, it's your life, your heart, your soul, everything in the business. And especially for entrepreneurs, that if they started brand new or startups or whatever it might be, that their work, their business is going to demand a lot of their time. And the partner, the person they're in a relationship with, if they don't have the communication and if they don't have the ground rules, if they didn't actually set the boundaries, it could be very challenging, because suddenly you're in a relationship with someone and the other person is like full on working. You're not going to feel like you've been seen and you've been heard. And you don't have any time to communication, and you're going to start to feel lonely. So it's very important for both sides, for the person in the business, an entrepreneur, and their partners, to sit down and have honest and open conversation. And it's all about making time. Because the most successful people, I'm sure we both know that, they have the best time management. So it's very important to put the right time in the diary. It doesn't sound romantic, but it's important to spend quality time, just being present with their partner and just give that their partner's need on that time they allocated.
And with that time, are you talking about things like date nights, or are you talking about, literally scheduling a half an hour appointment with your partner?
Well, it is. I know it doesn't sound romantic, but you can, anyone can make that romantic. It could be date nights. I think it's very important, because people get really comfortable and then they say, let's sit at home and watch TV and order Chinese. But when you make an effort, when you actually put maybe nice clothes, for a woman to put a little bit, makeup, and the guy make an effort to go somewhere and to make that effort and spend time together, phones are off. Definitely off the table, and just be present with each other. You'd be very surprised, Adam, like in some of the workshops, I always do this it's 5 minutes exercise where that you basically just, you and your partner looking each other's eyes and just be present for 1 minute. And you don't kind of like start to look anywhere else, but you concentrate on your partner's one eye and just like literally just open your heart and just in your mind's eye and just say, I love you, I care about you. I've seen people just break down in tears, and people said that exercise actually saved their relationship. Because we always think that it has to be something big. It has to be like this big glamorous weekend away. No, sometimes we just need to sit down, have that open, being present, heart to heart communication, and be with present each other. That's all it takes sometimes.
So in a way, being present, that's that kind of mindfulness. And too often, I guess, people aren't in their own heads. They're kind of thinking about the past, they're planning the future, they're worrying about what's happening next. So you're saying that it's not about physically being with someone, but mentally being there as well.
Absolutely, because, Robbie Williams said, I can't remember exactly, but he said, I used to think that being lonely, it was the worst thing. But he said that being in a group of people and feeling lonely, it's worse. And it's the same thing. And many couples, they come to me and then they said that I am with my partner all the time because we live together and we work together, but I feel so lonely. So it's very important to have that time where 100% present. But it's the same thing with business. When you think about it, when you're in a business meeting and someone is on their phone, they're not concentrating, they don't have any eye contact, and then they're constantly just looking and saying different things, you don't feel like you're being seen and you're being heard. And this is what it is. And I don't want to be too negative. This is not negative at all. But this is the thing about apps and smartphones and everything else. Don't get me wrong, I love them. But if you're not conscious, it could be very lonely. It could be quite dangerous, and it actually could easily cost people their relationships.
And those people that are, let's say, financially successful or entrepreneurs, business owners, are they more likely to have relationship problems, or is there no difference?
Actually, I was thinking about that a lot, with my clients, but also I do a lot of research. If you look at the people in the society's eyes, the most successful people, business people, none of them are single. They all have a solid relationship and they have family. For me itself, it shows how important it is to have a partner and a healthy relationship. And if you look at them, even when you look at Gary Vee, he says hustle, 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 hustle all the time. And he does. He's like a machine. But you never see that what he does over the weekend with his family. And he says that, he's being very honest about it. He says he spends a lot of time with his family and quality time. He goes on holiday with them and he switches off everything. It's very important, and the more successful people, when I see financially, they have more awareness because success comes with fulfillment. You can be so successful with money, but if your personal life, romantic life, it's not in balance, you're just going to start to feel not so happy.
As a relationship coach, let's talk about, let's say, the most high profile business person in the world right now, Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. What do you make of his relationship with Melania?
Oh, great question. You put me on the spot. Well, when you see Melania, like many times, she feels so detached. She feels so lonely because he's always in the front and he never actually honors her. You can see that as a woman and she really tries. But if you look at Obama, Obama as a couple, he always honors her and he always makes it very, very clear that she is the priority. And on her talks, every time, you can see that you don't even have to be in a relationship. You can see that he always makes sure that she's been seen, she's been heard, and she's been appreciated. But Trump always leaves her like right at the back. And that's why you can see her very uncomfortable. She doesn't look happy, with all honesty. You can see her body language. She just feels out of place.
So let's say that Donald Trump is your next client.
Oh
and you're going to give him a few tips.
Okay.
What kind of tips would you give him to help? Because you're saying that the relationship, as an expert looking at it from the side, you don't know the details, but from the side it doesn't look necessarily healthy. What tips would you give him so that he can start improving his relationship?
I would just say, make it very obvious that you see her. Make her feel that she's been seen, she's been heard, and she feels appreciated. And it just only needs a little bit, because when he's in there, like, he only thinks about himself. And it's fine, as a president of the United States, but his success, it comes with her as well. So I would say that spend some quality time with your wife. Just make sure that she feels connected with you and communicate with her and understand exactly what she needs and how, when she feels that she's loved.
And do you think it's possible for him to, let's say, repair some of these controversy? So let's say porn stars coming out of the woodwork, his statement that he made about his, locker room talk and things like that. Do you think that's repairable in that relationship?
It is. It is, in my experience, that everything is actually can be forgiven. Anyone can forgive anything. I have seen that before. But the thing is, it's important for him to be vulnerable and honest. He doesn't have to do it for the whole world. We don't need to know this. But if he actually chooses to be 100% honest and vulnerable with his wife and say, yes, I've done those things. I don't know. I'm just making up, of course, at the moment. Just say, because my role was too much for me, or I got too carried away, or everything was there. It was so easy to access and I made a mistake. But ultimately that, I felt maybe out of place, whatever it might be. Or he could even just say, it's up to him. If he really wants to make it up, he would say these kind of things and be honest and say, I didn't feel very satisfied with you, but ultimately that you're my wife and I just realized that I made a mistake and I choose you and I choose to spend the rest of my life with you. Tell me what you need. What can I do to make you happy? What can I do to make you trust me again?
And words like vulnerability isn't necessarily something you would associate with Donald Trump or any, let's say, alpha dominant, business person, because perhaps is there a feeling that vulnerability is a sign of weakness in the business world, at least?
To be honest with you, people don't have to be vulnerable with their colleagues or with their team, with their staff. But if they want to have a happy and healthy romantic relationships, vulnerability is the key. I would never suggest to any business person just be very vulnerable, with your team and just talk to them like how you feel. But there's a difference. And also vulnerability is a very, very misunderstood concept as well, because vulnerability takes a lot of courage. If you to say to someone, especially the person you love with, this is what I found really interesting. We could just go and tell our life story to a stranger, right? We can tell anything and everything and we'll be okay with that. But to tell and share something to the person that we love the most, it's much harder. It's because we care. We care so much because we care what they think of us. That's what it is. But also the key is, and I love Brené Brown's work on this one, she always says that vulnerability is the true courage. It's not easy. And for business owners, I do not suggest for them to share, details of their personal life or romantic life all over social media or on the media or anything like that. But for a happy and healthy relationship, I know this is not just me. Every single relationship coach, relationship expert says the same thing. Vulnerability is the key for a true connection.
It's actually opening up and kind
to their partner, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So are there fears that and kind of things that get in the way of people having, let's say, the best possible relationship? And if so, what tend to be the main fears that come up?
If it comes to do business, I experience this with my clients. A lot of it, they feel like they have to choose. So especially for a startup, okay, now this is like, I just set up my business. I have to concentrate on this. I don't have time for a romantic relationship or anything like that. But then after a year, when it gets really, really intense, they work really hard, and then they turn around and say, I so wish that I had someone to share with. Someone could just have my back, and sometimes I feel really lonely. So, it's not, you don't have to choose to be single or to be in a relationship. You can do both. Okay. You can do both. It's all it is, just to know what you want and get very clear. And with the person you're with, be very, very honest and open about what do you want. Share your vision. Share your dreams. If your dream is that, I don't know, in 10 years, you wanted to make multi-million pounds and you want to travel the world and you have team everywhere else, share it with your partner. And see how your partner or the person, even when you're dating, see how they're going to respond. Maybe their visions are totally aligned. And you could be a couple like Obama's or even Grant Cardone and his wife, and then they just do everything together. So I think it's very important for people to look up the really healthy couples. They thrive together. It's the same thing Richard Branson. He's been with his wife for many, many years, and they have children, they have grandchildren, and he's so happy, and he always honors his wife. Sarah Blakely, when you look at it, she's like worth £1 billion. But I love her Instagram account. She's one of my favorite. And they always, like her and her husband always says that family comes first, and they make time for many things. And if they can do it, we can easily do that. Tony Robbins. All these people, they genuinely, when you look at it, how many hours they work and they're everywhere all the time. If they could create happy and healthy relationship, people, I don't think that many people on their level, we can easily do that. It's all about just a choice.
So it's about making time and actually prioritizing, the partner, the relationship and things like that, to the extent that you could even schedule, a half an hour appointment.
I always say one thing, that everything is a choice. So if someone chooses to have a healthy relationship, romantic relationship, and at the same time a healthy and successful business, they can do that. It's just a choice. But if they want to find out a lot of excuses, they will always find many excuses, and there's a lot of things will just go on the way for them.
And let's say there was someone wanting let's say, guidance or tips from a relationship coach, what kind of ways in which you could help them, and where could they find out more information about that?
For them, I think the key is that be very honest with themselves. It's okay to not to want to be in a relationship, but it's important to know why. It's everything, just we need to know why. I'm not here to say that, but be in a relationship and it's great, or be single. I'm not here to do anything, because it's such a personal decision. But it's very important for be self-aware of, is it, I don't want to be in a relationship, it's because I saw my parents' bad relationship. I saw like what my mom went through, and I decided that I can never trust men, for example. Is it because that I saw couples that one of them build a business or decide to build a business, and then their marriages collapse, and I now I'm building my business. I decide to set up my business. I'm associating business and separation, so I decide that I'm never going to be in a romantic relationship. So if it makes sense, that it's all it is, just like to know why they do what they do. And that would be the key. And in regards to contact, I'm on social media, very active on Facebook. They can find me, Dilara Tetik. Also, they can like my business page, Dilara Tetik again, or they can follow me on Instagram. My website is under construction, but then again, they can still get my contact details, which is www.dilaratetik.com.
Dilara, it's been a fascinating chat with you. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you very much for having me.
And to you at home, thanks for joining me on Modern Mindset. My name has been Adam Cox. I've been your host today, courtesy of Share Radio. Join me again next week for more.